Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. When you hear news like this coming from the West, which is somehow the Russians are having an advantage or their weapons somehow are working, or they have a little bit of a breakthrough somewhere, or that they have more shells than the Ukrainians, the point is not to hail the Russian advances or anything like that. The aim is to put pressure on the public to agree with the decisions, not to agree, to support more the decisions that they are about to be implemented or voted on, made by the leaders of this country. Not leaders, but the guys in charge, let's put it this way, because they don't lead. They don't lead from the front, they lead from the back. Therefore, they're leaders. So what happened now? We have an ex-CIA director, and he comes and says that the Russians are kind of advancing along the entire front line, 600 miles, blah, blah, blah. Now, obviously, that is happening here and there, according to the information I got. Not the entire front line. Successful sometimes, sometimes not successful, but there is a momentum, obviously, that we could note. Not maybe not. Then we can notice is we are allowed to notice because these guys are promoting it. These guys being the free media in the West. So let me show you this article coming from Business Insider. And remember, its goal, it's not to inform us. The goal is to change or to shape our opinion into putting pressure on those guys supposedly in the House of Representatives and the U.S. How do you call it? Congress to vote for $60 billion for Ukraine, among others. That's the whole point. And they're going to give us a little bit of information. Hey, you know what, the Russians, this is why you guys should put pressure on them or agree when that will happen. That is the little measure, little aid of $60 billion from you, your children, and your grandchildren will be agreed. So here is Business Insider, not this insider, but business. Ex-CIA director says Russia has broken the stalemate in Ukraine and is, and I'm quoting, on the offensive along the 600-mile war front. Well, okay, he claims that they are on the offensive on the front right here, the whole thing. Well, let's see what else Mr. Burns, isn't he Mr. Burns, right there? So former CIA Burns Gates, and Russian leader Vladimir Putin, here they are, buddies. The Russians are no longer on the back foot in Ukraine. Well, when were they? Says former CIA chief Robert Gates. The only time when some areas have the Russians on the back foot was in Kharkiv, and it was in what? October, November 2022. I think that was the only time when really the Russians were, and maybe the counteroffensive, the failed counteroffensive in Zaporozhye Oblast this year. Not this year, last year. It passes so fast. Last year in what? June, right? Something like that, when they said, yeah, we are on a counteroffensive. And I'm quoting, a lot of people are referring to the war at this point as a stalemate, Gates told the Washington Post in an interview on Wednesday, and I'm quoting again. I'm afraid I believe that at this point it's actually not much of a stalemate, but that the Russians have regained momentum, end quote. It's not breakthrough kind of momentum, but it is the sense that they are now the ones pressing the offensive. So far, they tell us the Russians have the upper hand. Why? Gates also served as defense secretary during the Bush and Obama administration. He told the Post that Ukraine's losing the strategically significant city of Avdiivka has allowed the Russians to move combat line further east. Everything I'm reading, and I'm quoting, is that the Russians are sort of on the offensive all along at various different places along the 600-mile frontier, Gates told the Post. Ukrainian losses, Gates said, stemmed in part from their struggle with weapon and ammunition supplies. That's all they're gonna. He's gonna mention. I bet he's not gonna mention something else. I've read, and I'm quoting. I've read that for every artillery shell that the Ukrainians fire, the Russians are firing 10. And so the Ukrainians now are facing this shortage of ammunition, artillery, Gates said. Here it is, the next one. The Ukrainian war effort has been heavily reliant on US aid, because without that, you're done. The US has sent over $44 billion in military assistance weapons since the war began in February 2022. However, House Republicans appear likely to block a Senate-approved $60 billion aid deal for Ukraine. What I said many times will happen, they will negotiate, because they were going to give us the appearance that there's two factions over there fighting for us, because it's only two options, black and white, nothing in between. So the American democracy with the two-party system, that you do two and you do it like this, becomes one. It's fantastic. We're one notch from communism, which has one-party system. But as I said, two, puck, you got there real fast. So they give us the mirage that they're fighting over there and negotiating. This is what I think is going to happen with so-called military, with aid, which is weapons and ammunition to kill people. That's what they are for. No, to defend. Okay. They will negotiate, and probably Ukraine will not receive $60 billion. I suspect Ukraine will receive 50 some, 50, 52, 50, about around that number. And then they will say, we negotiated. Yeah, and everybody is happy. It's like you call a rapist, hey, stop doing that. I'm just going to pump about 200 times. I'm not going to do it 1,000 times, only 200 times. One time is too much anyway. So the same here. $1 over there is too much. So for me, 50 billion or 60 billion, you don't start the negotiation from there. Is either you send something or you don't send anything. And I am, for instance, for the war to stop. Now, regarding the Russian advances, they are in Kupiansk, Liman, Bakhmut. Avdiivka is over, but they it seems like they go westward. I read some articles saying that the Russians supposedly cannot do it, and no, they're doing it. And then the Russians took some of their troops from there and they deployed them somewhere else. Like they stopped with Avdiivka, they regroup. They try something in Kherson, supposedly on the left bank of the Dnieper River. Trying to, supposedly, which I don't believe that's true. I don't believe that is true. Supposedly it's Kirki. Is that the town in Kherson right here? They claim that these guys in the West and the Ukrainians claim that they got a bridgehead right here in Kirki. What's the name of the town? It's not Kazach. It's on this side here. It doesn't show on this one. It shows only at times that I can find it on another map as well. So this is where supposedly the Russians are trying to push them across, which I don't think the Ukrainians are on the left bank of the Dnieper River. Probably they came and left, and then they keep making the case that the Russians are trying to kick them out, and they're fighting hard, but they can't because the Ukrainians are too strong. Well, maybe it could be the case, but as I said, they didn't convince me yet that they are on the left bank. So let me show you the other side of this beautiful map. So here on the left bank, they claim this is the area where they had how do you call it, bridge end here, a foothold on the left bank. But this is one. Then we got the other one would be, as I said, indicated here in Marinka, and then Avdiivka. And then you go to Liman, and look what's going on in this area. So this is bad, obviously, for the Ukrainians, and this as well. This is Liman area. This is Avdiivka. Bakhmut, I'm sorry. Avdiivka is down here. It's already gone. Marinka is already gone right here. If you heard these names, now is Robotino right here. They're already advancing here. And in Kupiansk up north of the front, which is here, is another place where the Russians are advancing. So yes, they have a momentum. They're not like in the Second World War, breaking the front and pushing the Germans back to Berlin. But we don't know yet because the Russians are not commenting too much on that. And these guys on the other side, they're just saying, obviously minimizing the success of the Russian army. And sometimes they mention it, like in this case, just to try to make us go along with their $50 billion or $50 billion that they will approve to give to Ukraine. Thank you very much for being with me again today. We'll see what's going on further. We'll see when these guys are going to approve that, if something changes. But before, even if these guys approve it today, I don't think in the territory you're not going to see any changes in the field in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, until everything or the package is going to be transferred and dispersed to the people on the ground to use it. But if things will change, these guys are going to be baboons, because they know they deal with baboons. The day they will approve that and will vote for that package, you'll see the next day they will already see that, hey, we see things changed on the front because of that package, like it came right there, or it was already there. We'll see. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.